Good afternoon and a warm welcome to you all for the most innovative education webinar on Golden Aim Conference and Awards for Excellency and Leadership in Education, hosted by Dynamic Business Solution. Now I invite Ms. Fareen Khan, co-founder of Golden Aim Award, for welcome speech. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Professor Sunita ma'am. I'm very pleased to connect the best and the best education professional. To start with Golden Aim Awards for Excellence in Leadership in Education, which is formed by an intense researcher in the field of education quality research. Each nominee profile is judged on evaluation criteria, which includes strategic innovation, track records of the placements and education sector, service quality, and the specific contribution of the professor in their respective subject. After the nominee profile fit in evaluation criteria, the jury and the advisory council member select best of the best profiles, whom the event team coordinate for the event. Each award winner will be felicitated by a wooden citation as a memento. Moving further, I request Professor Sunita ma'am to continue with the webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Fareen, for this wholehearted welcome. Now I request Mr. Azhar Farooqi, CEO of Dynamic Business Solution, to share a few words.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Azhar Farooqi. I am the CEO of Dynamic Business Solution, a wider solution provider in different segments and sectors. My company, Dynamic Business Solution, provides solutions in various segments such as retail, wholesale, end-to-end supply chain. We established our company in 2006 with a small warehouse of clothing in Mumbai. As we all know that the teamwork gives a best pillar in the business. So with all team support, we expand our business nationally from Mumbai to Madhya Pradesh, Pune and Aurangabad, and internationally from Oman to Indonesia and Dubai. We are very thankful to the Golden M Awards to give us a chance to partner the prestigious webinar and the platform where innovative professionals through leaders and especially professional we share their views and knowledge. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Azhar, for sharing information about your company. So let's begin with the webinar, and I call upon our speaker, Dr. Rajkumar Mahajan, President, Association of Indian College Principal and Registrar, GNA University. Sir will speak on the topic changing trends in education due to COVID-19. I request, sir, over to you.
Thank you, madam. Myself, Dr. Rajkumar Mahajan, at present working as registrar at GNA University, Phagwara. I had an 22-year experience of teaching and 15.5-year experience of administration as principal in different colleges of DAVs. I'm President Association of Indian College Principals, in which about 1,000 principals are members of this organization. I welcome all the members. Dear friends, today we are here to attend the Golden Aim Conference and Awards for Excellence and Leadership in Education through webinar due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Not able to organize such conferences or seminars being physically present on the specified place. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the world of education as coronavirus spreading rapidly across Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and the United States countries have taken swift and decisive actions to mitigate the development of a full-blown pandemic. Since mid of March 2020, where the industry, public and private offices, corporate sector is suffering due to lockdown, Education is also affected due to the closure of all educational institutions, including schools, colleges, universities. Being the mid of the academic even semester, syllabus were pending about 30 to 40%. Students were forced to leave the campuses and stay at home. Teachers were directed by the head of the institutions to work from home. They were directed to complete the syllabus by taking virtual classes from home. Management are in a hurry to collect the fee from the students. A pressure is there on every stakeholder in the field of education, maybe a student, parent, teacher, head of the institution, and even the management who are facing financial crisis due to main two reasons. The one is non-collection of fee from the students, and the other is to pay the salary to the staff during the period of lockdown. Even many of the colleges has relieved the staff who were on contract in their institutions. COVID-19 pandemic has forced to change the system of education. Even in the post-COVID-19 scenario, we, the head of the institutions, have a new responsibility now to shoulder as the head of the family. We need to transform ourselves into a considerate, compassionate, caring, supportive, and yet firm facilitators on whose decisions depends the transforming of obstacles into opportunities. It is undoubtedly an uphill task, but it is a survival mechanism. Several seen and unseen difficulties and challenges will us. Often opportunities come in disguise. Therefore, many of us fail to recognize and grab them. So we should be alert and watch for the opportunities. College will reopen in course of time, but our planning should start. If we count our strength, there are two main sources, our staff and students. We must keep in touch with them regularly during the lockdown period. During this time, when we are at home, we can contact our staff through online platforms, mails, messages, or phone calls, inquire about their well-being, their family, and discuss some of the major concerns that will arise post-lockdown. This is a good time to establish with all the staff members, help create a feel good situation. In the present new normal situation, in which retaining the student strength is slated to be a major concern, communicating personally or on any of the virtual platforms, meetings with students in groups will help convey to them that the institution considers them as part of the family. An additional benefit in such meetings will be a possible chance to interact with the parents of the students because a majority of them will be facing lockdown too. Discussions with them, their suggestions will also be a great help as important stakeholders. We can also discuss here about the changing in teaching learning methodology. We can consider this as an opportunity to reinvent the education process. The journey from brick classroom to click classroom is not an easy one. Each of us will have to get accustomed to the role of technology in this process and prepare teachers and students for these changes. The process of unlearning, learning, and relearning will have to be accelerated. The major change that the students will have to undergo is giving up the spoon feeding received in conventional classes and have to find for oneself. This preparation will have to begin much beforehand. We have to change our action plans, keeping in view the challenges to be faced due to this pandemic. The first challenge is the challenge of health and hygiene. As the custodians of the total well-being of the staff or students, a serious thought to be following urgent preparation is advisable. For example, in the first week of opening the institution, we have to prepare the academic calendar. 1 or 2 day teacher training for handling learning management system, gadgetry, and e-content writing. To collect data information on the availability of Android phones, laptops, and internet connectivity with students, and to update the website. We must prepare SOPs for health and hygiene. For example, disinfection, sanitization of the entire campus, temperature check at the gate, mask checking, water and sanitizer supply at the gate, strictly staggered zigzag seating arrangements, medical help at least on call, and above all, psychological counseling may become a growing need. The teachers can be deputed for short training and can be of immense help both on the off campus. The other challenges will be decline in enrollment, tuition fee may be delayed, government grants will be a distant dream. So it is the time to team up to work as a cohesive group, courageously keeping under control differences and egos and generously awaken our human kindness. We need to form a scouting and contacting team of staff for counseling of students, meeting with the government officials, NGOs like Lions and Rotary, etc., charitable trusts, alumni and parents, NSS, NCC, and volunteers. Our main responsibility is to complete the syllabi by reaching out unto the last. We have to think about many permutations and combinations for advanced learners, average learners, slow learners. We have to install LMS for tracking and record our formative evaluations, WhatsApp groups for quality analysis, online document sharing, handout for difficult areas, co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities. In the semester system, we may have to face cramped and curtailed hours assigned for many activities and events. Additionally, the requirement of social distancing will necessarily impose a withholding, even cancellation of them. Expert lectures, primary talks by eminent persons, specialists in various fields, meant for all students may also have to be axed as they require a large audience sitting together, thus threatening the social distancing norms. Only small classroom activities are advisable. New skills for students, such as switch to self-learning mode, research mode. The expected change will lead to a movement away from rote learning, mastering, reproducing information, and becoming a cog in some machine to experimental learning, reflecting and gaining knowledge and becoming wise. Developing problem solving, crisis management, decision making skills, being all to distinguish between facts and opinions. The colleges will have to redesign committees and their responsibilities. We will be required to rename the committees and their duties and roles. Instead of a discipline committee, we will require a health and wellness committee. The examination committee will have to bring about newer method of assessments and testing, whether the outcomes have been achieved. The timetable committee will have to work out slots on virtual platforms to arrange online classes. The sports committee will have to innovate and think of conducting new games to ensure that students continue with their sporting activities. The art and drama committee will have to consider newer online methods of tapping the talents in students. To prepare good quality reading material for students writing blogs and encouraging students to write. We should encourage participation in local issues so that the institution receive the support of the local community, especially in rural area. NSS, NCC students can help during crisis. They can help families facing unemployment, lend a helping hand by counseling the depressed. In the end, we can come to the conclusion that several seen and unseen difficulties and challenges ambush and seize us. The going is going to get tough. So we have to be tough to get going. The most difficult thing is the decision to implement the necessary change and continue spearheading that change with resolve. Thank you all for listening to me with patience. Regards to all my friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your speech. Now I call upon our next speaker, Dr. Hari Vasudevan, Principal of the Dwarka J. Jangvi College of Engineering, and sir will speak on the topic online education in view of industry 4.0 practice in COVID-19. So over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, one and all who are over there in this meeting. Online education has become absolutely a requirement today, not only because of the COVID situation, but also because of the Industry 4 practices. Okay, the primary issues are of coping with emerging technologies and meeting the educational and industry needs of the future. The challenge is actually the type of skills needed to succeed in a fast changing world will have to be taught to the students now online. The challenge is also to plan the education strategies for future changes as far as skill generation and work patterns are concerned. The context is set because of the fusion and amplification of emerging technologies, breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, automation and robotics, multiplied by far-reaching connectivity between millions of people with mobile devices, with unprecedented access to data and knowledge. Advancements in the digital economy and biotechnology, coupled with globalization and aging population, are adding to how people learn, live, and work. Changes in skill requirements and the organizational work is creating pressure on job quality, family work balance, and social inclusion. The main objective of this talk today is to try and understand as to how we can respond to and prepare for educating for the fourth industrial revolution, as well as the post-COVID-19 situation. Everybody knows various components of Industry 4, Internet of Things, augmented reality, system integration, autonomous robots, big data, cloud computing, cyber security, additive manufacturing, etc. And in this Industry 4 era, there's a vital role that liberal arts and social sciences will have to play in the coming years. For instance, creative problem solving, people management, and social intelligence skills remain crucial bottlenecks in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Engineers and scientists have to prepare softwares for artificial intelligence and machine learning related technologies. Their knowledge in subjects like biology and other social science aspects will have to be there. So we will see in the coming years, engineering and biology merging together, engineering colleges having to run subjects like biology or other aspects of human aspects involved in their syllabus. If you look at the industrial revolution, everybody knows the first one was about steam engines for production of work. In the second industrial revolution, it was all about electrical, the finding of invention of electricity, and all about electrical energy-based mass production happening. But in the third one, which I would call as the third industrial revolution, being the first information revolution, computer-based and internet-based knowledge started being put into practice. Extensive use of controls, IT and electronics for an automated and high productive environment, PLCs, numerical control machines, etc. became the order of the day in the third industrial revolution. Whereas now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, I would call it as a second information revolution. Herein we have this intelligence supplied with artificial intelligence softwares, information, big data, IoT, cloud. Then you have technologies like blockchain, etc. Based on so largely this industrial revolution challenges are based on virtual and physical production systems. So you can imagine the extent to which things are changing now so fast. One computer, many users almost peaked in the year 1960. I'm talking about the global standards. In the year 1960, one computer was situations, one computer, many users. Then one computer, one user situation came in 1980. And in the and subsequently later, it was all about many computers and one user. So today we are in that situation. Of course, the timeline as far as our country is concerned, we may be slightly behind by 10, 15 years, but these are as per global standards. So from one computer, many users in 1960 to one computer, one user in 1980 to many computers and one user now is going to be the real challenge when smart factories, etc. run, workerless factories, etc. become the order of the day. Now, what are the specific skill sets needed to face such a situation? Soft skills. I call it transversal competencies or the 21st century skills. These are expected to increase the demands. Like, I would say that something that is lacking in our educational system, like, for example, thinking skills and learning to learn. As Professor Rajkumar Mahajan also mentioned, learn, relearn and unlearn, etc. I believe that thinking is one skill that has never been taught to any of us any time in our life. We were taught as to how to walk, how to eat, how to talk, how to do many things by our parents and others, but we were never told as to how to think, what not to think, how much to think, what is to be avoided, when to think, how much only, how much is to be brooded upon, how much of the regrets we'll have to keep ruminating over. So that thinking aspect has never been a part of our training, either at home or even in the schools. So this is one skill that people will need, especially in this industry for era. And then you also need the cultural knowledge, collaboration, expression, everyday life skills, multi-literacy skills, ICT literacy skills, entrepreneurial skills and basic work-life skills, participation, active citizenship, and building a sustainable future. All these skills are really required. And therefore, what many of the thinkers of the future say is that policy makers will have to consider bridging critical thinking and problem solving with entrepreneurship and design. Liberal arts programs may be positioned to generate the kinds of intuitive thinkers that understand the future. So design thinking process is going to be very important in coming days. We'll have to look at STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-based subjects. Digital skills will be in high demand. Nearly all of the jobs in the emerging technology era demands all these abilities in the newcomers. Therefore, just as important as what skills learners will need is what skills teachers will also need. And therefore, the roles is expected to change. We need to look at what students and teachers will need to successfully adapt to these new rules. In addition, the fourth industrial revolution provides opportunity to level the playing field and reduce inequalities. Educational systems, therefore, must ensure these emerging technologies are harnessed to build resilience and is to the benefit of all. Online education per se is not new. Many of the advanced institutions like IITs have been doing it. They were knowing as to how to create the educational content. But today it is widely spread. But an important point here is to say that even IITs were unfortunately not able to conduct their semester and exams because many of the students did not have access to the net. Electricity being a problem in some of the remote Indian villages, and thereafter them not possessing any gadgets other than a mobile, all added to the decision of IITs not to conduct their end semester examination. So the decision is to be out, and it's a challenge. And therefore, what we should do to approach this kind of a scenario. So as all of you know that we can instill that 4 C's in our students: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Making ICT education compulsory right from the beginning in all types of schools. Developing educational content in collaboration with industry is another important aspect that we need to touch upon. Reforming content and methodology of education via digital platforms. Having top people resources to lead global industry engagement is very important, and creating new business trends through reform of higher education is highly necessary now. And also we know that enhanced research in universities and industries will have to now happen in a bigger way. So therefore, without bold reforms and clear policies to guide us through, many people will still lack the necessary skills to fill new positions in economies and societies that are anticipated to be fundamentally different. First and foremost, countries will need to address the issue of continued and improved training in STEM subjects, as well as investment in ICT. Many countries, in fact, today have taken the initiative to expand and focus on these areas over the past several years, and continued efforts are needed to expand existing facilities as well as improve human resource capacity. Now, when you look at all this, we must actually understand that the changes that are happening in the field of education and education technology are widespread. We have to discuss the ways that e-learning, analytics, personalized learning, and big data have begun to change the nature and process of learning. You know, recently when all these online education things were happening, even parents were available at home to watch the sessions being taken by faculty members. So they were watching the videos along with their children. And therefore, you know, the comments were also made by many parents, etc. I have read in the print media, you know, that there's a lack of respect that the students have for, the teachers have for students. They're very rude, their pronunciation is not good, they have an unfriendly nature, etc., etc. But we must understand here that the teacher is trained to deal with his class of 30 or 40 or 50 students under one roof. And today, all of a sudden, that same teacher is required to teach students sitting at 40 or 50 or 60 different locations when he or she is not able to even see them as to whether they are listening, etc. You know, so these are some of the darker parts of the online education that we are going to come across in the near future. And then also, as Dr. Rajkumar Mahajan said, the financial aspects, the fees, etc. Then people are now going to weigh everything online. Even laboratories are being done on virtual labs, etc. You know, all these are factors. So people who are 50 plus in their academic institutions who are teachers, they will face some of these kind of issues. I'm not talking about MOOCs or other blended learning situations. You know, I'm talking about an academic activity, teaching learning process happening online where the presence of a teacher and the students are required at the same time. IITs were able to create video conferencing tools to conduct synchronous lectures, etc. They were also finding new ways of collating course materials and preparing digital friendly notes and presentations. But after all this initial excitement wears off, when we are in this online mode, it becomes monotonous and exhausting to talk to a computer screen with occasional interruptions by disembodied voices. As I mentioned earlier, high quality internet connectivity is a big issue across our country. Uninterrupted power supply, electricity outages, gadgets not being there with everybody, then quality of access. You know, therefore people are unfortunately forced to download low resolution video recordings and even just lecture notes. And we have very clearly seen the digital divide that is happening. You know, recently University of Hyderabad did conduct a survey of about 2,500 students. 37% of the students said that they could attend online classes, whereas 18% said that they could not. And over 90% said they would prefer to watch lecture recordings rather than attend online classes. So these are some of the challenges that we are going to face in the coming days. The digital classroom scenario, wherein there is no personal contact between eye contact or other eye contacts, etc., being noticed by the teacher, and therefore teacher readjusting his explanation, repetition, etc., is not going to be the order of the day. It's just going to be a one-sided teaching, you know. So a digital classroom is indeed far more unequal, actually, therefore, I would say, than the physical classroom. And the only saving grace is that we say we can visit that again and again because it's there online. And some people even suggest that in the context of online teaching, teachers should curate existing suitable material rather than prepare their own. I don't think this is possible. This is not right, especially in view of engineering education, because engineering education, you know, it's more, teaching actually is an art, and in engineering education particularly, teacher will have his or her own ways of communicating the subject matter and explaining the materials, etc. So some of these challenges we will face in the future are going to be tremendous. Also making sure that students are attending their online classes, their presence, the physical and mental presence, forcing them to attend in group discussions or problem solving sessions, etc. chatbots and discussion forums simply cannot replace physical tutorials, recitations, or even Banda. Lab courses are going to be a challenge. There'll be no hands-on. Students will have to use video experiments or even perhaps use dummy data in such situations. And missing the, making our hands dirty, especially engineering, I would say that particular thing will be missing, and therefore it's a great loss in learning. Flipped classroom techniques, some may think is fine, but it's nice on paper, but works poorly on the ground, especially in view of the last minute study that our students do. The other day, one of my students was telling me that in his 4 years of engineering, he actually studied only for 8 months. Every semester, 1 month each at the end of the semester. So if this is a case, then flipped classroom concepts, etc., are not going to be very successful. Then assessment becomes a problem. Assessment of students via exams or home assignments, unfair means, unethical means. There are these days softwares being sold by many companies. They say camera-based face and body tracking is there, divine screen monitoring is there, and then it can even check what other apps are running on your machine simultaneously, and the frequent the scanning of the surroundings by camera. All this is fine. Artificial intelligence-based monitoring of face expressions, lip movements, etc., are all fine. But I don't think it can really be successful in all type of evaluations. If you compare it with the proctored, physical proctored examination in the classroom. So digitally proctored, AI-enabled things will be tough in the future. And therefore, I would like to conclude that actually with this big talk about online education that's happening all around, I would say a sense of digital triumphalism seems to hang in the air. However, we'll have to really see the success on a case-to-case basis, institution-to-institution basis, so that it can be put into effective practice. Technology obsessed policymakers driven by arguments of inefficiency. Now, some of them may say that teachers are inefficient, and also online teaching can bring in a result in low costs and scalability. Therefore, some of these policymakers might begin to fantasize that in the post-COVID-19 world, there may not be an urgent need to start new schools and other education institutions. And they might even say that all that is needed are video recordings. All teachings, both hosted on the internet and the device to connect is all necessary. So AI-based teaching is all fine. It's all going to be the order of the day, whatever we decide, whatever we do. But my simple conclusion would be on a case-to-case basis, institution-to-institution basis, the type of education that you are imparting to your students, depending on those situations, we will have to change. So in order for higher education to deliver future generations with the right skills and knowledge, an imperative question has to be asked regarding how higher education institutes would be affected by the industrial revolution and COVID-19 situation, and how therefore the delivery of education is required to be transformed. Accordingly, it needs to be attended to with a truly practical approach and in real terms, especially in a country like India. The time given was 15 minutes, and therefore I had to simply rush through, and I also could not share screen on my the presentation slides. And I believe, yes, 15 to 17 minutes. I'm sorry, I had to rush through a little bit of it because I thought it's pertinent to touch upon this topic in a good function like this, wherein some of the educationists are going to be awarded. So thank you to the organizers of the and the members of the Golden AM Awards Committee and Dynergic Business Solutions for giving this opportunity. Let's all learn by being together over next 1 hour for 15 minutes or so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vasudevan.
Thank you, Dr. Vasudevan, for your innovative and informative speech. Thank you very much, sir. Now we begin with the award function. The first phrase of the award is for most innovative TPOs. And in this we have 16 award winners. And now I shall start announcing the name. The first one, Dr. Vinit Kothak, Trainer and Placement Officer, Shah and Anchor, Kuchik Engineering College. Congratulations, sir. The next name is Dr. Neelam Sharma, Associate Professor and Head Corporate Resource Center, Bharati Vidyapit University, Deem University.
Congratulations, ma'am.
The next is Dr. Satish Narkede. Congratulations, sir. The next one is Mr. Murlidhar V, Placement Officer, Surana College.
Congratulations, sir.
Next, Ms. Parul Bhargava, TPO Officer, Podar Institute.
Congratulations, Parul.
Mr. Irfan Qasim Sayyed, TPO, Sanjeevani KBP Polytechnic.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, Mr. Shad Hamid.
I request to maximize the screen. Go to the slides so one by one.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Shall I announce?
Please press F5.
You can go to the slideshow and start from the current slideshow. Yes, now it is coming. Now we skip 2-3 slides what you have given, then continue. Sorry for that interruption.
It's okay, sir. No issues.
Okay. So, Mr. Saad Hamid, Trainer and Placement General, Aligarh Muslim University.
Congratulations, sir.
Congrats, sir.
Next, Mr. Swapnil Desai, Head Training and Placement, Padma Bhushan Vasant Dada Patil Institute of Technology.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Next,
Congratulations, sir.
Next, Dr. Ira Kumar, Head Placement, SIES College of Management Study.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
Congrats, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Next, Dr. Yasho Mandira, Assistant Professor and Placement in Charge, Symbiosis Institute of Operation Management.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Congrats.
Next is Professor Doshi, Campus Head Training, Placement and International Alliance Sales Education Campus.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Audesh Sharma, Training and Placement Officer, Jai Narayan Yas University, Jodhpur.
Congratulations, sir.
Congrats, sir.
Next is Professor Faisal Khan, Head Training and Placement, AP Shah Institute of Technology.
Congratulations, sir.
Next awardee, Dr. Rehan Khan Suri, Training and Placement Officer, Jamia Millia Islamic Central University.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next is Dr. Vinod Kumar Yadav, In Charge Placement Rio, Maharana Pratap University of Agriculture and Technology.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Next, Professor Ashok Oberoi, Director Placement, Maharaja Sujalmal Group of Institution.
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Oberoi sir.
Next is Mr. Hiresh Khatri, Training and Placement Officer, D.Y. Patel College of Engineering, Pune.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So now we move ahead for special award category. That is for Leadership Education Award for Electrical and Electronics Engineering Study. And that goes to Mr. P. Vilraj Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Study, CMR Institute of Technology. Congratulations, sir, to you.
Congratulations, sir.
Congrats, Vedaraj Kumar.
Congratulations, sir.
My colleague.
So it would be great if I have few words from Mr. P. Raj Kumar. We can go ahead. Sunita ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay. So we have next announcement award for Best Professor Awards. And it's my privilege to announce the name. So we move ahead. Dr. Ravindra S. Kulkarni, Professor and Head, RV College of Engineering.
Congrats,
Best
sir.
Professor in Aerospace Engineering.
Thank you. Congrats, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks all. Thank you.
Next is Dr. Meena, Registrar, Nasir Munjin Institute of Management Study, Best Professor in Pharmacology. Sorry, thank you very much. Congratulations, ma'am.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Congratulations, madam.
Move ahead. Next is Dr. Manish Dikshit, Associate Professor and HOD, Marathawad Institute of Technology, and the award is for Best Professor in Civil Engineering.
Congratulations, sir.
And the next is Miss Rihana Sheikh, Associate Professor, OP Jindal Global University. It goes for Best Professor in General Management.
Congratulations, ma'am.
So next is Dr. Pankaj Trivedi, Professor and Area Chairperson of Finance and Law, KJ Somaya Institute of Management, and its award is Best Professor in Finance.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Next is Dr. Anita G.S., Associate Professor, RV College of Engineering, and the award is Best Professor in Electrical Electronic Engineering.
Congrats, madam.
Congratulations, madam.
The next one, Dr. Jyoti Nair, Associate Professor, Dalmia Institute of Management Studies and Research, and the award is Best Professor in Finance.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you so very much.
Next is Dr. Anil Pawar, Head and Assistant Professor, School of Pharmacy, MIT WPU, and the award is Best Professor in Pharmacological.
Congratulations, sir.
Next is Dr. Parasnath Singh, Professor, CMR Institute of Technology, and the award is Best Professor in Computer Science and Engineering.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Let me take one snapshot.
Sure, sure, sir. All yours, sir.
Thank you with Fardeen, madam.
So we request you to have some few words from you.
Okay. If I'm allowed to say a few words, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that putting my video on, I am visible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. So I am Dr. P.N. Singh, having 34 years of total experience. and as well as the president of ICT NCS section of Indian Science Congress 2021. From this platform, I am also inviting all of you to join the 2021 from 3rd to 7th January Indian Science Congress. That it is inaugurated by our Honorable Prime Minister, and it is going to be hosted by Symbiosis International University. I am playing the last inning of my life and receiving continuously from 2019, 2020. It is the 3rd award, and I am thankful to the jury and organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, sir. So next award is Dr. Shivani Bali, Senior Associate Professor, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. The award is for Best Professor in Operation Management.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Next is Dr. S. Premlata, Professor, SRM University, Best Professor Award in Marketing.
Congratulations, ma'am.
The next award is Dr. Mangesh Deshpande, Professor, Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Pune, and the award is for Best Professor in Electronic Engineering.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, sir.
The next award is Professor Asha Kaul, Professor, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and the award goes for Best Professor in the Communication.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Congratulations, Sasha.
Okay, the next award, Dr. SNV Shiv Kumar, Professor and Area Chairperson Economics from KJ Somia Institute of Management, and award is for Best Professor in Economics.
Congratulations, sir.
Dr. Jasmine K.S. Associate Professor, KV College of Engineering, and award is for Most Innovative Professor.
Thank you.
So next is Dr. Arvind Associate Professor, Lala Lajpat Rai Institute of Management, Mumbai, and award is for Best Professor in Marketing.
Congratulations, sir.
Next is Dr. Richa Arora, Professor and Head, Department of Arts, Manipur University, Jaipur, and the award is for Best Professor in English Literature.
Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Next slide. Next is Dr. Asim Ganesh Partha, Assistant Professor, JB Jain Institute of Technology, Management and Research, and the award is for Best Professor in Strategic and Marketing Management.
Congratulations, sir.
So now we move ahead for a special award, that is for Education Leadership Award. And that award goes to Dr. Hari Vasudevan, Principal, Dwarka Das J. Sangvi College of Engineering.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to all the awardees. Thank you. Now I invite Ms. Fareen Khan to propose vote of thanks.
Before vote of thanks, can we have the video? I just request a video of this event, if possible for you guys.
Yes, sure, sir. We mail you the video link.
Yes, Ms. Farheen, I would like to say one line before your vote of thanks.
Yes, sure, sir.
So, thank you very much for organizing these awards during this present scenario of crisis. Thank you very much for all motivation. And on behalf of all the fraternity of training and placement officers, I would like to thank your organization, Golda Ma'am Awards, and all the associates for this organizing this award.
ये करना पड़ेगा, इसके लिए बंद करना पड़ेगा ये.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
I also have a suggestion for group snapshot of the participants at the last.
Sure, ma'am.
Is good.
Well, Fareen, am I audible?
Yes, sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah, again, as rightly said by Rehan Saab, on the behalf of the entire... Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, again, as rightly said by Rehan Saab, on the behalf of the entire Training and Placement Officers fraternity, and especially on the behalf of Aligarh Muslim University, I'm really thankful to you and your organization for doing the honors. And God willing, we'll be in touch for in the future also. And together we'll do something good for the country and for the society as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
My humble request to you is,
yes, sir.
Yeah, if you can kindly mail the photographs of the mementos also on the respective email IDs, that will be really thankful, helpful to all of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll send the photographs and the recording also link.
Madam, I wanted to just tell you thank you very much. I am Dr. Anita GS from RV College of Engineering. Thank you very much for the.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have Mr. Velraj Kumar online? Can we have Mr. P. Velraj Kumar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So we request to have few words from you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Velraj Kumar, Associate Professor and Head of Center of Excellence Intelligent Robotic Systems in CMR Institute of Technology, Bangalore. So I thank all the organizers, and also I congratulate all the awardees today. And really in this situation, these awards are motivating us, and I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
This is Dr. Kulkarni from RV College again, and it's a happy surprise to see another two colleagues of mine being recognized. On behalf of them and on behalf of all other awardees, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to Dynergic for instituting these awards. It's a great encouragement, because it goes a long way in motivating the faculty. It's a great step. I wholeheartedly thank the organizers for organizing.
Thank you so much, sir.
Before closing, can we have a digital selfie?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, we must have a full snapshot of all participants.
Yeah,
so I think
participants with the awardees.
Selfie, we should take the grid view of all participants in the video. So all should open the videos. I think we should also clap for the organizers and awardees.
Yes, obviously. Nice initiative, guys.
Oberoi साहब हमारे सारे काफी close colleagues हैं. All the professors. It's really a very motivating and encouraging moment, because when people are all working so hard for just for the students and for the education, and it's again in the depressing mode. It's again for all. It's a very encouraging moment for all of us. Thank you very much for recognizing our work. Thank you.
My humble suggestion is that let us not end this great association here only. We have got great minds, all associated. So let us be in touch and let us help each other, and let us.
Sure.
Rehan bhai, congratulations.
Same to you, Sasa. Thank you very much.
Very well deserved, sir.
Congratulations, Swapnil sir.
Everybody.
Congratulations, Fajal sir, Vinit sir.
So, I think we all should have our own.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all our estimate participants.
I think
someone
was talking about a digital selfie. Is it possible?
I think they must have already taken.
Yeah, we have taken
a capture, I think. So kindly circulate we all. We would like to request organizers to please make a group of these awardees so we can at least interchange, we can exchange our ideas and our cases of the work, so that would really a learning for all of us.
Yes, no doubt about it. We are all working on the same mission. So I think it would be great that if you be associated for long.
Let's work for the betterment of society.
Sure.
Sure.
Awesome.
That's a great suggestion, Dr. Suri. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again to everyone. Thank you, Sunita ma'am, and thank you to all of your kind support. To our estimate speaker, thank you, Dr. Raj Mahajan and Dr. Hari Vasudhi. Thank you to our gold partner, Dinergic Business Solution, Mr. Azhar Faruqi, for all your support. Last but not the least, thank you so much to all the participants and the award winner. Hope to see you all in the next webinar, which is conducted soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.